Big news right off the bat coming out of the NFL. The Indianapolis Colts, aka Jim Irsay, fires Frank Reich, and the coach for the Colts the last few years, and his record is actually pretty good. For a coach. I mean, he obviously wasn't getting it done this year, and last year they had a disappointing end to their season, going down to the last game they lost, I think, to the Jaguars with Carson Wentz. They got rid of Wentz. They brought in Matt Ryan. And they're thinking. I know you didn't understand that because Matt
Yo,
Ryan's
but before Wentz, didn't they pick up Philip Rivers?
Philip Rivers was they
Oh,
took him. He had a 1 year flyer there. All these aging guys, right? Wentz is not as old, but he just didn't play. He played well most of the season there, but then just choked in the biggest game of the year, which didn't surprise anyone. Um, and then the Matt Ryan experience didn't work, so now they benched him for the rest of the year, and they're playing their young guy. It's not gone well, for the Colts at all. Frank Reich gets fired, and we're like, okay, you know what? We kind of saw this coming, right? Frank, maybe his time was coming to an end. We thought last year might happen. They give him an extra year. Okay, great. They're going to play out the rest of the year. They're going to be one of the worst teams. They're probably going to draft from the young quarterbacks. And
facts.
then the news comes through. I mean, I found out in our fantasy football, designated report fantasy football chat, because I was at work. I had no idea what was going on. And I thought Paul was trolling when Paul posted this in our chat. He said they being the Indianapolis Colts, just hired Jeff Saturday to be their interim coach. Now I'm like, time out. Is there another? The Jeff Saturday I know of is the guy that used to play center with them for
Facts.
13 years with Peyton Manning, and then he played 1 year with the Packers before retiring. He lost a ton of weight, went to and now he's an analyst at ESPN. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, I get he was around football, but head coach. And then I'm like, wait, Jeff has never coached on any kind of legitimate level before.
At
Outside of
all.
high school, there's no experience, no college, no coordinator job, no offensive line job, working with no consultant job, like as far as like being in the trenches. Now they're telling us he was some kind of a consultant for the Colts on some level, which we know is a BS made up
Oh man,
position.
come on, man.
They're BS made up position to tie that in. But he's going to be coaching the team now. Now, everyone's reaction was like, what the F? How do you have someone with no experience just walk into a NFL job, when a lot of coaches have been in the waiting, particularly black coaches have been in the
Hmm.
waiting and can't get looks. Do you make much of this, or do you think this is something that shouldn't be made too big of a deal about?
Look, I'm not even gonna go in the direction of the black coaches thing because we already know they don't respect black coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many is it every single year we're gonna have the same conversation?
Yeah, yeah.
Eric Bieniemy can win a bunch of Super Bowls. He can help Pat Mahomes become one of the greatest quarterbacks, but he can't even get a fair interview,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everything that Brian Flores said in his deposition, you're seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even gonna go that route. I
Mm-hmm.
just think it's a slap in the face in coaching in general
Period.
because maybe you can get away with that in basketball, like we saw with Steve Kerr and Steve Nash.
Right.
But how the heck in the NFL do you get away with hiring someone who's never coached at any level? Not even like a scout, like a ball boy, right? It's like a Disney movie, right? Like the owner reaches out to a former player who's
Yeah,
living back home and
yeah.
he needs a new head coach. It's something that you would see in a Disney movie, not in a professional setting. So I was just shocked. First of all, I had to Google to see if it was the same Jeff Saturday. I was like, okay,
Same.
maybe it was a different Jeff Saturday. I know it's
Right,
not the guy from the ESPN. And
right.
they're like, yeah, it's the guy from ESPN. So I don't know what the Colts are doing. Jim Irsay's rationale doesn't make any sense to me and is a complete joke, man. It's a bad day in the NFL, man.
Listen, like you said, this stuff, it was so weird that Jeff Saturday was confused. Like he was like, wait, and he's saying these things. Like he was like at the introductory press conference, he's like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, what me? He's like, why me? Why do you think I'm qualified for this
I don't
job?
believe that,
I mean, you don't think he believes that? You're saying that what
bro.
he's
So
saying?
so why he take the job?
Because you don't turn down an NFL coaching job. You don't turn
You
that
do
down.
if you're not. No, you do if you're not experienced. You do if you haven't been in the trenches as a coach.
What does he have to lose?
What is he as? I mean, his
He's
reputation.
what is the reputation? He's never coached. He's not that.
Exactly.
But that's the thing. That's the guy right there that has absolutely nothing to lose. He can say, "Well, I was on TV. You came to get me. I like a challenge. I never turned on a challenge, and I took it." That's the team that I grew up playing for. I had a Hall of Fame career there. I love this
That's
team.
even a worse reason, right? As okay, if you self-reflect, you can say, thank you for the offer. You know, this is the franchise that I played for 13 years. We won a Super Bowl, went to 2 Super Bowls. Peyton Manning was the man. You know, I love this franchise, but let me give it to a better candidate.
Oh God, Gene, that's not realistic.
That's not
That's not real.
realistic. It's sad.
If the Nets offered you the job right now, you turn it down.
Bro, I'd laugh out the window right now.
Would you turn it down?
Yes.
You're bugging.
So
You're
so so
bugging.
wait. So you want me to take a Nets job and I'm pretty sure I'll be horrific at it so I can be
But
the laughing stock?
so you're thinking about it from that perspective, as in you got to go in and change everything. You can also like he's the coach. That means he can hire guys to put around him. He could go and get experienced coaches and different things. Even though he went to get somebody with no experience.
Again, this is a Disney movie then. So you're gonna go. So you're telling me Jeff Saturday has a Rolodex of good coaching, right? So he's just gonna call a bunch of people sitting on their couch to come help him make the team better? Who is he gonna call?
What if he calls Jim Caldwell? What there's guys who've coached that has experience, Gene.
If that's the case, then you should let Jim Caldwell have the job and say you'll come
that's
on
not,
as an assistant coach.
bro. Gene, you're not being fair. You're
I
not. This is not a Jeff Saturday thing. This is an NFL thing. Like Jeff Saturday, I would absolutely take a job. So
if the Mets called you right now, you would take the job?
to manage them,
Yeah.
we're going to the World Series, baby.
Dude, you on crack, bro. You on crack, man. You crazy, man. You
Are
crazy.
you kidding me?
I would talk you off the ledge. I would talk you off the ledge, my man. You
So
don't
what
want
if
no
I
problem.
succeed? So I cannot succeed at all. I
No.
can't. It's impossible for me to
It's
succeed.
impossible.
What?
So hold on. So managers who's been around the game for 30, 40 years, they get coaching jobs and the rate of success is extremely low. And you're just thinking you're just gonna walk in without any prior
Gene, that's not my
coaching.
problem. I have to believe in me. I gotta believe that I'm capable. And again, this is not like Jeff Saturday is
You
a
have
random.
you have to believe in yourself, but you also have to be realistic.
Gene, I believe that Jeff Saturday believes he can do an adequate job.
Mhm.
I don't think he took the job just because they give it to him. I think he thinks he could do this.
So
He
you
wants to
believe in
coach.
you believe in yourself. So if the NBA called and said, "Hey, Sean, we want you to be in the dunk contest in Utah
How is that
during
the
the
same
All-Star
as
break,"
coaching? That's not the same. That's an athletic thing. I can't jump.
you're just
Like,
saying you believe in yourself,
see, now that's Disney. You're turning me into
bro.
Spencer James
This
now.
whole Jeff Saturday thing is Disney, man. Come
So
on, man.
Janelle sent me a video from this baseball player who played for the Tampa Bay Rays. He was basically a lifetime, not lifetime, but he spent a lot of years in the minors. And it's pretty funny how this is relative to all of this. He spent a lot of years in the minors. He finally gets called up, right? But he plays third base. And at the time, this is 2015, the third baseman for the Rays was one of the best ones in the league, Evan Longoria. You're not going to play over Evan Longoria. And on top of that, the other positions that he's accustomed to playing, first base, different things like that, they were pretty set in stone there. Aubrey Huff, different guys were already in place.
Okay.
So apparently the team didn't do their homework on this guy. Like, they don't pay attention to the minor leaguers. Apparently, this guy, he can't get in the game because he could hit, but they already had their DH. So he was not going to be able to play over their DH. So the manager's like, yo, could you played the outfield before? He was like, absolutely. He's never played the outfield in his life.
Okay.
As a baseball player. So
super bad analogy, but keep going.
Okay, he had to borrow an outfield glove from his friend.
Yes.
To even go in there and play. He said, bro, this was like when you lie on your resume to get the job and then you figure it out later. Sometimes you got to do that.
Cool, but see, no, the difference in that story is that he was a current player. So now if Jeff Saturday, right, was a current player or he was maybe 2 years removed from the game, I wouldn't have an issue. He's been retired for how many years though? It does make a difference because because that baseball player is still playing baseball every single day. Jeff Saturday
coaching is different, Gene. He's not. Why does he need to be 2 years removed to coach?
Dude, they say in football, like every 3 or 4 years, the game changes. And what Jeff Saturday was doing when he was a player, it changed to what the NFL is now. We
but
can find
but
numerous
he
examples of the game changing.
but he talks on the game. He watches film. He's still
Yeah,
involved in the
exactly. But
game.
watching and coaching is my thing. Is you have to lead a team of 52 dudes, and you've been sitting on the couch, and you're going to work once a week at a studio on ESPN, and you're telling me that was the best guy for the job.
It worked
I'm
for
just not
Steve. It
rocking
worked
with
for
it.
For Steve Kerr.
Who?
Steve Kerr didn't have any experience.
Yo, but what did I say earlier in the podcast though? I said basketball. Okay, so pound for pound, we would all agree that football is the hardest sport, right?
No, we've already had that. Baseball is the hardest sport, but I don't know what you're talking about in terms of
I'm
coaching or leading.
I just in general,
I don't agree. That's the hardest sport.
well, I think is the hardest,
Okay.
right? I'm just saying if you were to give me an option between who you would think would be successful from a basketball coach to a football coach, I say a basketball coach like a Steve Kerr because there's less things that you have control of and you can kind of manage compared to a football team where there's so many different things that go on. Just their contract, the players' contracts are different. You can have in basketball, 2 or 3 players, you're probably in the playoffs. In football, you need multiple players. You got to do all the scouting. To me, I just think it's a more intricate game that somebody else would be better suited to lead these
It's
men
more of a
instead of Jeff
team game.
Saturday.
It's the
Yes.
most team game there could be. Yes.
But
Right.
we've seen multiple examples of NBA, coaches who didn't have coaching experience to go on to coach. We've never seen that in the NFL. So to me, that's why this situation doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. I'm just saying I understand why Jeff accepted that job, and I think anybody in that position would accept that job. My problem.
I don't think so. I think
You're
less people would
bugging.
turn it down, man.
You're bugging. You're.
So if the Vikings call Randy Moss right now, he would take that
He's
head coaching job?
100% taking that job,
Hell no.
bro. Gene, to be an NFL head coach is like you don't turn that. You figure it out after, bro. And it's not like again these guys. You're talking
You
about.
won't have time.
You're
The,
talking about
the
Hall of
way that
Famers.
the way that Jim Irsay fires coaches, you won't have time to figure it out. What are you
Well
figuring
then,
out?
that's his excuse. Then I didn't have time. He'll get another shot. Like
Come
my
on,
my
man.
problem is more with the fact that black coaches, and I know you talked about this already, but there's black coaches like Brian Flores could have been your interim coach if you really wanted to take a coach with experience. But apparently Jim Irsay doesn't care about experience because he likes guys who know nothing about it at all, so that they can just kind of like maybe be mind controlled by what he wants them to do.
Doesn't Reggie Wayne have a job with the Colts? Isn't he a positions coach? Or
I'm
am I
not sure.
bugging?
Maybe I'm not
I
sure.
think he works with the team at some facet,
He might be.
but
He might coach receivers. Maybe
that's
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
saying. So, like, I mean, you've had former players before, but it's the old boys club where I'm just gonna give my man's the position, and just make a mockery of the league. Like you said, not even going for Brian Flores, but what about the offensive coordinator on Tampa Bay, Byron Leftwich,
Byron Leftwich.
Leslie, I think Leslie Frazier from the
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo Bills defensive
Nico
coordinator,
Ryans, who is leading one of the best defenses in the world right now with the Niners.
But this is the last point I'll make in this whole situation, right? You know why? And I don't really want the black coach to get that position anyway,
Because
because
they'll fail.
no, because stop calling on black coaches to bail your franchise out, and you're not gonna give him the
Really fix
opportunity to
it.
be, successful.
Yeah.
Like Houston, Texas was a laughing stock, and all of a sudden they went out and got Lovie Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the team now. You don't got a team around Lovie Smith.
Right.
But then they can say, okay, you know what? We gave him 2 years to figure it out. It didn't work, right?
Yeah,
Look
I
at the
agree.
coach. Yeah,
I
look
agree.
at fam. Look at the coach that was coaching for the Arizona Cardinals. He got 1 year, and they fired him.
The
Cliff Kingsbury
Panthers.
been a coach for 4 years now. He
Steve
hasn't won
Wilkes.
squat.
Yeah.
He's even worse.
Yeah.
So I don't want black coaches to get these BS jobs where they're not even going to get the real opportunity to succeed.
But that's what sucks because how do you decipher between not having any jobs at all and taking bad jobs? Most teams who are hiring are probably bad situations because they just were pretty bad to fire their coach.
Me,
Unless, a guy like Mike Tomlin who walked into a perfect situation in Pittsburgh where a coach just, I've been there forever. I'm stepping down, and he stepped in there. And even then, people gave him a lot of crap about hiring this guy who is Mike Tomlin and so, and he's only gone on to never have a losing season. So again, you never know how it could work out.
Look, man, if they're putting all these things in places to get minorities jobs, and we're still growing through this, and the interview process is still a sham, I'm not with it. I'm not rocking. If I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'll just ask Andy Reid for a raise, an annual raise, especially if we win the Super Bowl, or throw us some incentives in my contract for when we win. But like, I'm not gonna go take a sham job to waste 2 years or 3 years of my career just to come back to Andy Reid, bro. I'm not doing that.
So you would 100% pass up the Brooklyn Nets
Pass.
job.
Yeah,
So
yeah, pass that up, man. Y'all ain't gonna make me the scapegoat, buddy.
I'm
I ain't
gonna
gonna be the
ask
laughing
that.
stock of your franchise.
I'm gonna ask that. I'm gonna ask that in our group chat. I'll see how many guys would turn down. I guarantee you'll be the lone one. I'm pretty sure, because that's hard to do. All right, going from football to basketball.